that an administrative commission be established for Korean Good Shepherd Presbyterian Church. And I have the names of the AC committee. The proposed names are as follows. Teaching Elder Heidi Park, who is a member at large from the San Gabriel Presbytery. Teaching Elder Member at Large Dong-Woo Aiden Lee from our Presbytery. Teaching Elder Mickey Choi, who is a member at large of the Riverside Presbytery. Teaching Elder Adam Donner from First Presbyterian Church Pomona and our Presbytery. Ruling Elder D. Kelly from Claremont Presbyterian Church. Ruling Elder Paul Kim from Canaan Presbyterian Church in Santa Ana, which is Los Ranchos Presbytery. And Ruling Elder James McCune, Laverne Heights, San Gabriel Presbytery. This administrative commission is authorized to conduct an administrative review of the session and its responsible management of the church's worship and congregational life as a community of faith, hope, love, and witness, and the management of the physical property of the congregation for the furtherance of its mission, to assume full authority of the session, determine the application of the Presbytery's gracious dismissal policy on behalf of both the church and the Presbytery, bringing a recommendation to the full Presbytery, and to determine as the Presbytery whether there is a schism within the membership of the congregation and whether the Presbytery is unable to effect a reconciliation of a division into separate congregations within the PCUSA, and determine as the Presbytery if one faction is entitled to the property because it is identified by the Presbytery as the true church within the PCUSA. I have some additional comments to make, if I may speak to this. As you can see from the 2 pages that are attached to that of background information, which I hope that you have read, they were sent to you in advance of this meeting, an extraordinary amount of time and effort have been spent by both the PET and the special committee of the congregation trying to come to an agreement regarding the gracious dismissal policy of the Korean Good Shepherd Presbyterian Church. So there are some things I would like to comment on. The council and the PET are very sympathetic to the fact that this has been a very long process that has been delayed twice due to decisions that were made by the General Assembly Permanent Judicial Commission. In both of these cases, the PJC decisions required that the PET to the Presbytery step back in order to make sure that all process and decisions were being carried out in accordance with the polity of the PCUSA. If this had not been done, any dismissal agreements that were made prior to both of these delays were open to being challenged. Secondly, due to the present situation, the council now feels that the implementation of an administrative commission is the best way to expedite the bringing of a resolution to the Presbytery for action. Third, I want to emphasize that this is not being done for the purpose of punishing the church for trying to leave the denomination. This is not a disciplinary action. This is primarily a way to move the process forward, which is something that the SCC of the church has also requested. However, there have been statements made in worship and elsewhere that have raised concerns that actions may be taken that would put the church at risk. For that reason, This motion includes the authorization for the Administrative Commission to take original jurisdiction, or as it says in the motion, to have the full authority of the session. Since this requires a full presbytery decision, we are proposing this now as a preventative action. Otherwise, if there's a need for original jurisdiction, a special meeting of the presbytery would have to be called. The motion allows for the Administrative Commission to take original jurisdiction of the session if, and only if, this is deemed necessary in the process. But it does not have to do this. And it will not do this until after it has spent some time working with and alongside of the church session. And then finally, the Administrative Commission has several options that it can take. If they propose a dismissal of the congregation, they must bring the proposal to the presbytery for approval. The presbytery is the governing body that in the end must approve any dismissal agreement. But I would also point out that dismissal is not the same thing as taking the property. The Korean church could be dismissed with any amount of property or none. Or an exit group could be dismissed with a financial gift, but not the identity of the Korean Good Shepherd Presbyterian Church. The Administrative Commission also has the option of proposing to the presbytery the dismissal agreement that the church voted on. That is still an option. In the end, all being said, after a great deal of prayer and careful consideration, the Presbytery Council feels that the best and the most expedient way to resolve this matter is to put in place an administrative commission. And I want to share with you that this is not a reflection on the diligence of the PET or the good people of the church, regardless of their views on dismissal. And I appreciate the attempts of all parties have taken to be responsible. It just becomes risky as the process has gone on and conflict and anxiety has arisen with this continued uncertainty. And so as we approach this and make this motion, I would like to move, before I move the larger motion, that debate be limited to giving the Good Shepherd session up to 5 minutes to speak to this issue, and then that there be an additional 10 minutes for debate. I move that first.
We will need a second for that. This is not debatable, and it needs a 2/3 vote to pass. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
It carries.
And now I move the main motion.
I'm Tae-hyung Ko, teaching elder at Good Shepherd. I'm wondering, among the AC members, there are 2 outside the presbytery. Is it allowed for outside presbytery to be included in the commission, AC commission?
Yes, it is. Tony, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, outside members, as long as they're eligible to be part of, if they would be eligible to be part of this body, they are eligible to serve on an AC, on an administrative commission.
So outside the
Outside
presbytery?
the presbytery are recommended.
Okay, then another question. Is it allowable for the motion with the AC members is separated?
To separate the motion of who's on the AC from the
Right.
main motion?
Right.
I'm making it together.
No, that would be, they must be named. That's how,
Must
if we
be
have an
named.
AC, they must be named. So they,
Are there any other clarification questions right now? Dave, you can introduce yourself.
I'm Dave Tomlinson, hopefully that'll be the mic. It is possible to separate by a motion those two into separate motions. They do not have to be acted on together, which was Dave's question. No. So you can be done.
Okay. Any other clarification questions only before we begin? I understand that there's someone from session that will be speaking up to 5 minutes, uninterrupted. I would caution whoever is speaking today that this is specifically for this motion. So comments would be around that are specific to this motion.
Yeah, I'm Tae-hyung, co-teaching of the Rolanites. I motion to separate the names of the AC members from the main motion.
As my understanding is, Pastor Ko, that if the administrative commission, if you vote on it separately, you have to produce the name of an individual to replace anybody that you take off of that is removed.
Do I ask you to hand the names to the...
No, you have to make that in your motion, and that person needs to be here today and say yes, that they will make it, that they agree to serve.
At this point, I think he has only moved that the two questions be considered separately. He has not yet suggested that there is a substitution, and
Well, he's asking.
The time to do that would be when we consider the second of those two questions. I'm sorry, Sarah Collins, ruling elder from Pasadena.
Has there been a second to separating the motions?
Second.
Any further discussion? As we go into this, we understand hopefully everybody has heard that in order to go forward, the names have to be produced today. Okay, so the motion is to separate the names of the administrative commission from the administrative commission. All those in favor?
Oh, I have to speak to that?
Okay.
I would like to speak in favor of keeping the members that have been named on this administrative commission. We have very carefully looked at the qualifications of each member to serve. We have chosen people who have served on the former PET, who have knowledge of the situation and can continue the conversation for the reason of continuity. And so therefore, I would be very much against changing any of these names.
Is there someone to speak for the motion?
I believe this is not a debatable motion, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, sorry, it's not debatable. Okay. All those in...
Does that mean that you can't ask a question?
You can ask a question.
Yeshua Watsapriya, South Hills Church, teaching elder. I was just wondering, and I acknowledge that I think I may have only gotten part of the Presbytery information in advance. Is today at this meeting the first time that the names have been offered?
Yes.
For the administrative commission?
Yeah, that's practice.
Okay.
Okay, any clarification questions? David?
I'm a teaching elder from Middle Church. I think it's appropriate to ask this question. Those two, I guess, members from outside the St. Gabriel Presbytery.
This is
not part of the
We're not, I guess, we're not debating who's on it.
Just okay. I'm just curious. What's the background? What's the reason that you have chosen those two outside the boundary of St. Gabriel Presbytery? I don't know if this is okay to ask.
My understanding is that the motion is to separate, so, yeah,
Okay.
the names, the people. If you're in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Can I see a show of hands? Those who are in favor, please raise your hand. The only people that can vote are commissioners, so you must have a blue or red tag. Anyone else cannot vote. Person from the session that's going to speak for 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes. If you don't need 5 minutes, that's okay. You can come up if you want.
So I think this introduction should be part of that 5 minutes I'm going to speak. My name is Peter Chung. I'm a ruling elder at Good Shepherd Church in Roland Heights. Brothers and sisters in Christ, it has been 4 years since we started the process of this gracious dismissal. We began with honest discernment as to where God was calling us, and invited the Presbytery into this process from the beginning. We soon saw that God was calling us to move to a sister denomination, and so we sought to make a move decently and in order, in accordance with the policies of this Presbytery. Our church has worked with Presbytery in good faith by following every step of the procedure, without arguing or trying to go behind the Presbytery's back. We actually did achieve an agreement for dismissal and payment terms, as suggested by the Presbytery's engagement team in accordance with the Presbytery's process. We then took this agreement to the congregation and holding a meeting supervised by the Presbytery. And by an overwhelming margin of 91% of the members, the agreement was approved. This was done in March of 2014, almost 1 year ago. Our expectation and the Presbytery's policy on dismissal indicated that this agreement would be brought to the floor of the Presbytery for vote by you, the commissioners of the Presbytery, for final approval. For reasons that have nothing to do with our church, the Presbytery abruptly canceled the vote before the Presbytery. We waited patiently, expecting that the Presbytery would reschedule it, and wondered what was taking so long. The PCUSA Constitution says that presbyteries are to dismiss churches in consultation with their members. The consultation has happened, and it is time for you to let us move on graciously. but we didn't insist and waited patiently on the act of Presbytery. In December, we received what we thought was a friendly letter from PEP, addressed by Karen Sapio and Heidi Park, thanking us for our continued patience and dedication to the process, promising to get back to us after the holidays. There was no indication of any point of concern. There was no question the process or session's integrity and management. There was no report of disorder. There were no reports that session was unable or willing to manage their affairs of the church wisely. In fact, there have never been any such reports or concern expressed by council, by the PET, or by anyone else in the Presbytery. There was never an indication that there were concerns of any need for any investigation. Then earlier this month, we sent a letter to the PET asking that what the next step would be. Pastor Ko was contacted back by the interim executive presbyter and told we were thinking the same way. No indication of problem, just a promise to work together. Then much to our surprise, before we ever had the opportunity to act or speak, without any prior discussion or scrutiny, we received a letter from council saying that they were recommending AC. This was earlier this week, just three days ago, Tuesday to be exact. So to say now, devastatingly short notice of less than 1 week, that session is such a problem that it needs AC is nothing short of deceptive. This hurts. It is painful because we have dealt fairly, openly, honestly with our presbytery. And to be treated like this is shameful and it undermines the trust. This is supposed to be exist in a presbytery.
Thank you. Your 5 minutes is
I
up.
have 2 more minutes. Can I have 2 more minutes?
Motion to extend the time by 10 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. If our trust in you is betrayed in this manner, who among you can ever trust this presbytery again? A few days' notice without any explanation or discussion as to why. Yes, a few of our members who wish to stay with PCUSA are vocal. We expect such emotions and want to provide for them, and that is why we agree to generous payment of provisions of over $500,000, $635,000 to be exact, a number that was proposed by Presbytery's engagement team. We agreed. So how are we now, the bad guys? Our dismissal is being denied a vote, and we are being charged with wrongdoing without ever being told why. As we see in Genesis 13, Abraham and Lot separated peacefully. Abraham did not fight to keep Lot around. He did not delay their meetings, but let Lot take his charge of the property and go. There was no administrative commission. We know that God is calling on us to go forth, and we trusted you to bless this departure. Now, we feel like we have been tricked for trusting the presbytery and cooperating. 91% of our congregation has asked for dismissal. But for reasons you will not say, you have denied us. The chance for even a vote on the floor of the presbytery and feel like we are being held captive. Please reject this motion and deal with us honestly as any Christians should do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Presbyterian engagement team. This is not an attempt to delay or deny the dismissal process. This is an attempt to expedite it. As you may know, the job of the PET is to negotiate a settlement for dismissal that's agreeable to all the parties concerned. This particular situation is complicated because there's not simply a Presbyterian engagement team and representatives for the church who wish to lead. There's also a very vocal and organized group within that church that does not wish to leave the Presbyterian Church USA, that wishes to stay and wishes to stay with the Presbyterian Church USA. Because of that, it's been very difficult. It's been, in fact, impossible to come up with a negotiated settlement that is agreeable to all those parties. And the actions of the General Assembly, PJC, during the last couple of years have increasingly given weight to the rights of any group that wishes to stay with the PCUSA to be heard and to have their desires considered. And that's why we're bringing this to as an AC.
Thank you.
I'm holding the place to Foster Shannon, this trouble case.
Madam Moderator, my brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, Foster Shannon, honorably retired. We're dealing with the Korean Good Shepherd Presbyterian Church. In 1995, they moved from Monterey Park to Roland Heights. I checked some of these statistics that I could find for the past couple of years. This is for 2012. That year, we had 43 churches. During that time, this church received 123 members by profession of faith. The Presbytery as a whole received 384. In other words, about 1/3 of those received were in the Korean Good Shepherd Presbyterian Church. The average attendance for the church was 820, which was higher than any other for that year. The Christian Ed activity was 706, higher than any other for that year. This church continues to give evidence that it is quite alive. It may have difficulties, but it is not sick. Several years ago...
Foster. Thank you.
That's it?
Yeah, sorry. That's it, sorry. Thank you, I love you, Foster.
I think that's inadequate, but I want to say I urge you to vote no for this.
Thank you. Okay.
Stuart Collins, Pasadena Presbyterian Church ruling elder. While I'm speaking pro, just as Karen did, I wish to disagree with her on one thing, that this isn't a new emphasis on recognizing the rights of the minority in this group. That has been something that has been consistent in GAPJC decisions even before we started adopting gracious dismissal policies, but gracious dismissal policies seem to be not taking into consideration all of those issues on polity. And I'm very compassionate for the people who wish to leave, but I'm also very sympathetic with those people who want to remain, and we have a responsibility to them, as the Constitution says, no matter how small the minority is.
Steve Davis, teaching elder at large. Cindy, as you know, I know very little about this process, and pretty much what I've heard today and what I've read in the documents that were passed out. I'm just afraid that passing this motion is going to make the situation at that church even worse, and that we'll start needing membership and really hurt the church. The one almost official way of knowing what the percentages are is the vote that was taken, which I realize was later negated by the Presbytery. But it strikes me that the number of people who want to leave graciously is dramatically higher than the people who wanted to stay. And so it strikes me that the wise thing would be to go ahead with that dismissal.
My name is Yu. I represent those.
Excuse me, are you a commissioner?
I represent the the church group who wants to say the PC message. During the long exit campaign.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
Question, because that state clerk told me yesterday on the phone, no visitor can speak.
I was told that I could recognize him. He would only have a minute
So you mean that any visitor can speak?
if I recognize them.
Okay.
That's what I was told.
Because
But we only have a few more minutes left anyway.
because I called the state clerk, any visitor can from our church speak, and he said no.
Correct. They cannot come up. If the moderator chooses to recognize someone, it is the moderator's meeting.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me that.
Well, I wasn't expecting this. This is the first time it's happened.
Do I have 1 minute now?
Just 1 minute.
Okay. During the long exit campaign period, the church resources and the power authority vested to the senior pastor and associate pastors and the session were fully mobilized for the promotion of the exit campaign. Meanwhile, the exit leadership put a very strict restriction on any type of oral or written communication of the state group, of the church members. The attempt for state group to communicate with church members were openly threatened, oppressed, and controlled. As a result, the state group members were bullied, despised, and demoralized, and demonized.
It's out of order. It's out of order in your time, sir. Thank you.
I think my name is Charles Lin, ruling elder from No회까지. I believe it is not the time to debate who is right or wrong. It is time to check whether the motion was right or not. The book of the said, clause G-3.0303E, it says, the AC can be established only after a thorough investigation and after full opportunity to be heard has been accorded to the session. Then you can establish AC, but that was not the case. That's why I'm bringing it to this point today.
Okay, last one.
Mark Smutney, teaching elder, Pasadena. Administration and Finance asked me to do a quick consultation with the financial capacity for the faithful remnant, the capacity of the loyalist faction to handle the capacity to be financially responsible for the campus, the assets, to be viable should the faction that wants to lead be there. And my evaluation was that there was a sufficient capacity to manage the operation. And so I think the Administrative Commission gives us the ability to continue that evaluation. So it's sizable. There's sufficient capacity.
Okay, that is it. Our time that we have agreed to as a body has ended, and we will be ready to vote. However, before we vote, I would need to remind us that, again, the only people that can vote are those with the red borders or blue borders who have signed in as commissioners. You are the only ones that can vote. And again, a reminder to the group. Yes?
Okay, so existing motion that's taking charge right now.
Right.
Well, can I do that right now then? Yes, we like to propose substitute motion. So I propose substitute motion to postpone the forming of administrative commission until the next Presbytery meeting to enable COM or council to actually speak with the session of Good Shepherd Church and otherwise perform proper background investigation thoroughly for the veracity of the accusations.
Is that the same motion that you handed me earlier?
Yes.
Okay, we have that. Can you bring that up? The motion is actually not a, well, I'm going to, can you hand that to Twyla? She needs it in handwriting. The motion, he mentioned substitute, but it's actually a motion to postpone definitely. And the motion to postpone definitely needs a second, is debatable, is amendable, and needs a majority vote. Okay, a second. This is a time for debate. Yes.
Jack Davidson, teaching elder, Pembroke True Light Presbyterian Church.
I would like to keep time, just to keep, you have a minute.
I'm speaking
It's okay.
for the motion. First of all, sorry I was applauding earlier. It just seemed like everybody else was. So. But I think that this is a good motion because we work, I think, in the Presbyterian system to always leave room for the one righteous voice. That is, we always stop and back up and ask ourselves, are we doing this the right way? I really appreciate what PET has been doing, and I know these things can be difficult, but I think that this is a good motion because it works against the extremities of hierarchy by seeking to call people alongside us. That's really the model we have in Scripture. Even the apostles, when they came up with a plan for what to do in Acts 6, they go back and it says it pleased the whole group. That's what we should be after here. Thank you. I speak in favor of the substitute.
Any opposed? Yes. You have a minute.
One of the arguments earlier was how long it's been taking, and they need to do this soon. Postponing this, the first time we can bring it to the floor, it will be made for the Presbytery for a special meeting for it. I think the council, the PET, and the rest of the people have done a very hard work trying to fix them before I come to this place. I don't think postponing it will solve any problem.
For the motion. And introduce yourself again. Thank you.
Tae-Hyun Crow, teaching elder at Good Shepherd Church. Church as a whole, we try to honor the minority. Might be a little emotionally disturbing sometimes, but we as a church or a session, we did our best to keep the peace for the last 3 years. It's a long process, but we kept all the peace. So this time we propose this motion to, have, if there is any way for the COM or council to visit us and share that candidly. So please say yes for the motion.
Madam Moderator, I'm Rocky Sleppinger, a teaching elder at the Claremont Presbyterian Church. And I'm speaking against the motion because I don't think it's entirely true what's being sort of implied here, that there hasn't been conversation with the session of Good Shepherd. There's been a long report of the lengthy conversation that's been had with the Special Congregational Committee and also with the session. And secondly, because the aims that the motion to postpone seeks to achieve, I see as precisely the aims that are intended by the establishment of an administrative commission. So I speak against it.
Speak in favor of the motion. An administrative commission, as I've watched them across our denomination and even in Southern California, tends to be the nuclear option. What tends to happen is there's a bigger blow up and there's a lot of animosity. And I think taking just even a couple of weeks breather, letting the council come in, would honor the Good Shepherd Church and their leadership. It would still give another opportunity for the minority to be heard, and we can call a meeting. I mean, shoot, we've been taking so long. I think it's a reasonable thing to because they've had short notice, and I think it's a reasonable thing for this motion to be the main motion.
Is there, since Derek has talked
On the substitute motion or the motion to postpone, I wish to speak against it because I want us to think of this motion is saying they want more opportunity to speak with Presbytery about this, as in at the next Presbyterian meeting. But the next Presbyterian meeting is a few months away. And I don't think we should think of the Administrative Commission as something that we formed to work against the church. It is something that we formed to work with the church. And the Administrative Commission will be acting on behalf of the presbytery. So it will give them opportunities to speak to the presbytery through the Administrative Commission.
Thank you. I would like to ask the body if you're ready to vote. All those in favor, all those who are ready to vote, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Now, let me repeat what the motion is that you're voting on. The motion is... No, not that one. That's the wrong one. Okay, here it goes. The motion is to postpone for the forming of Administrative Commission until the next Presbyterian meeting to enable the COM ministry team or council to actually speak with the session of the Good Shepherd Church at Rolling Heights and to otherwise perform the proper background investigation necessary. It has been seconded, and we've had quite, yes?
I have a point of order. It's my understanding that the proper debate, according to Robert's rules, is that we would require to determine which motion will be the main motion to debate in.
No, it's not a substitute motion. If it was a substitute motion, then you would be correct. But this is a postponement. He said substitute, but it's actually a postponement, a definite postponement.
Clarification, sorry, I didn't say Jim Connor gave me, but so for clarification, the understanding is that this is more of a motion to table or postpone, and it's not a substitute motion.
Correct. This is the way I read it, it's postponed definitely. So it's not indefinitely, which means whenever. It's a clear to postpone to the next Presbyterian meeting.
Thank you, I stand corrected.
Thank you. I'm trying. Okay. All right. I'm just hoping that each one of us is prayerfully considering what's before us. Again, yes.
If this were to pass, that included in these discussions would be discussions with the group that wishes to stay with the PCUSA, not just the session.
The stated clerk is saying it must include that. Because it's the whole church. Because of the gracious business policy. Thank you for that clarification. Okay.
Point of order.
Yes?
My point of order is that this is not a simple motion to postpone, because it's a substantive motion. If it was a simple motion to postpone, it wouldn't contain the instruction to instruct either COM or the council to do substantive things. It would simply be a motion to postpone the main motion. But in fact, it is a substantive motion. It's instructing COM or council to do certain things. And so my point of order is, if it was a simple motion to postpone to a specific day, it would be to postpone a decision on forming the AC. Period. But that's not what it is. It's a substantive motion to instruct COM or the council to meet with the session, and therefore it is indeed a substitute motion. That's my point of order. I ask the moderator to vote on.
Moderator?
Just a minute. I would like to talk to the clerk for a moment. Thank you. We postpone
The forming of an administrative commission.
the forming of an administrative commission until the next Presbyterian meeting. He's simplifying his motion. Is that clear?
I think we need to vote on whether we're accepting that simplification before we consider this subordinate motion.
It was. I would like to move this along, and if the body does not object, I would like, it's the person that proposed the motion in the first place, and he would like to amend it so it's simpler, and I think just to move this along, we can go through the rigmarole, but it's the person that brought it up in the first place that would like to. So this is the motion that's before us.
To postpone forming of an administrative commission until the next Presbytery meeting.
Period. So there was a point of order raised, and a lot of those other words aren't there anymore. Basically, it's like more bare bones. Does there clarification questions? Okay.
Teaching elder South. So that implies that nothing's going to be happening in the interim?
Yep. It could. The AC is still in, the PET is still in place, so that it goes back to what it was. The PET is still in place. It's not been. Okay, so that's the new motion. Does everybody understand what we're voting on? Is the body ready to vote? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Can you raise your hands, please?
I don't know. We are voting. Are you ready to vote? Are you voting for the motion?
We're voting for this motion. The next Presbytery meeting. Anything else you're thinking about, that's not what we're voting on, okay? That's kind of open. Yeah, okay. Okay, remember, only people with the blue or red. Okay, raise your hand. Yes? No, we're in the middle of voting. I'm sorry. I would love to have heard you earlier. Okay, raise your hands for this. In favor? In favor, if you are in favor of postponing the forming of the AC until the next Presbytery meeting, raise your hand.
We're voting on the amendment to the previous motion to
No, we moved on. The maker of the motion changed.
Now, the amendment has not yet been voted on by the body. We simply need to vote that as an amendment if we want to do that, and then we vote on that motion. I'm sorry, Madam.
No, that's no problem. I was listening to other people. Okay, so here, clarification. If you're totally lost, this is where we're at now. I'm sorry, was it Peter?
Yes.
Peter. Okay, Peter proposed that we amend the longer version that was first asked of us to this. That is his proposal, the longer one into this one. And so for now, we are voting if that amendment is okay or not, okay? So we're just voting if the shorter motion is okay with us. Is everyone clear as mud? Okay, so we are voting. If you vote yes, it's okay to amend it. That's what you're voting yes on. If you're voting no, it's not okay to amend it. You're back to the longer version, okay? Okay. All right, clear? Yes. All those in favor of voting to amend the previous motion to this, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, that passed. Okay, now we're back to the main motion. Thank you, David. We're back to the main motion, and the main motion is to current main motion, to postpone the forming of the AC until the next Presbytery meeting. And we have talked a lot about that already. So I would, is everybody ready to vote? Yes. Okay. So now if you vote in favor of this motion, then the formation of the AC will be postponed till the next Presbytery meeting. All those in favor, I'm going to ask for hands because this is where we left off. All those in favor of this postponement, please raise your hand. The noes. Sorry, it's a long day already. Okay, all those opposed to postponing, please raise your hand. Okay, before I announce the results of the vote, remember that this is not about winning and losing. We're the body of Christ, and we are to love one another. So no matter what happens, let's not clap. Just you could say a prayer, that's fine. But anyway, okay.
The motion has passed, 53 to 36.
Okay, so the forming of the AC will be postponed until the next Presbyterian meeting. Clarification?
I'm wondering if that's worded correctly, even because there shouldn't be a motion to postpone the proposal to form the AC until the next Presbyterian meeting.
Well, it's okay, we voted on it already.
Well, I'm just saying it could be interpreted as we're going to form an AC next Presbyterian meeting.
It could, and maybe not.
Do you think that is what was the vote?
Well, I'm sorry, we already voted, so we need to move on. But thank you. I want to bring up Reverend Wendy